Thank you to everyone who has contributed. Let me just see. I think I have Troops. Troops. Do you want to ask a question or you want to contribute?
Okay, I
How
want to
about
contribute. I just noticed some few mistakes, so how will I put it this time around? I don't know why she actually did a dashboard in a way. I mean, not in ascending order, especially this customer demographics based on gender distribution. You don't necessarily need to have everything in your dashboard. You can filter to five or top most important one, and then why not base your this thing on ascending and descending order instead of having them just scattered and then not being able to give an adequate what will I put it now result or view to the customers or people you are presenting to instead of being scattered. The dashboard itself supposed to give a clearer view of what really happened, not me going up and down tracing this. I should be able to figure out the highest performance down to the lowest performance or the lowest performance down to the highest performance. That's the only thing I just want to talk about.
Thank you very much. All right, Debbie, I hope you're taking notes. All right, thank you everyone for your contribution. But let me highlight a few things right here. So firstly, I must say your styling, I mean your layout is good. I like your layout, right? You put in some effort into that. But then I must also make some other comments. Number one, you're looking at this is 12,000. Maybe you should add a comma, right? And then right here, you have a value in billions. I'm not sure this decimal really matters to your audience in a figure that is this much. I'm not fully sure. So I'd say maybe you just take the decimals out in this case, right? And here you're looking at profits generated by location. Profits generated by location. All right. I don't know why okay, maybe it's just part of you just trying to style it, right? But I don't know. Somebody mentioned you should sort it, which I fully agree with, right? But maybe this kind of style in this case may actually be stressful to the eye because you're actually looking at this straight down to the axis and it may just be a little bit difficult. Maybe you should have just gone with any of the conventional charts, but it's good that you're trying your hands on something new. Now, if you take a look at your age distribution, I think you're using a 3D chart right here, which is not a good practice. So just use the normal 2D charts, right? And then I really don't know why you're using a 10-year gap for your age group. I'm not saying it's bad, but I want you to, going forward next time, if you have your data set, you want to probably look at your data first and then decide what age gap do you want to use. One thing I've noticed over time is 10-year gap is most times do not really give you something good in your visuals, right? When you're using 10-year gaps, you really do not get the best insight from that particular data. And the reason is because you've splitted it just too much. So for example, if you're looking at this by 10 years, 10 to 20 looks like the only odd one out. Then maybe 80 to 90, they look like the odd one out. But the rest of it seems almost equal, which is not really the case if you had used a much better gap. Now, if I ask you, why do you use 10 years gap? Maybe you may not find a specific reliable reason to give, right? So except your products are age specific, right? For example, now if you go into a toy shop, right? If you go into a toy shop, they'll tell you this toy for age 0 to 5. This is for age 6 to 9 or something like that. Then that way you can probably use those age gaps. That's fair enough. But then in a product that is like this, that looks very general, I think 10-year gap will make you lose the insights you're supposed to really get from that data. At worst, I would say use a 15 years. But then if it's not specific, let's say, for example, we're also selling a female items, right? For girls between age 0 to, let's say, let me not say 0, but let's say 6 to 13, right? They have certain products that they use. But at 13, probably they say they've entered puberty, they start to use something like sanitary pad. That's now it. You can now split if you're analyzing data in that sense. Now it's okay if you split your data, let's say 0 to 12, or sorry, let's say 0 to 6, 7 to 12, then 13 to maybe 19 or 13 and above or something like that. That's understandable because you have a reason. And what's the reason? Maybe some of the items they are selling are not for children, are not for girls who have not reached puberty yet. So you understand? So that way you're able to really look at that data from that perspective. But if your data do not have any of these unique traits, this is my own recommendation. I will recommend you use the conventional age distribution, 0 to 18 or 0 to 17, 18 to 59, 60 and above. Right? So that way we know those who are children, those who are working class, and those for the elderly. For example, in that case, maybe this biscuit, it's actually biscuit for those who are aged, people who have diabetes, you don't know, right? People who have certain health conditions, you may not be able to tell from the way you have been able to do it. Because I see 70 to 80 years, they are some of the highest buying people in this list. That may not just be a coincidence. How many 70-year-olds do go to stores to go and buy things for their children? They may be there, right? But it's not really common, right? In modern society, I think that responsibility will fall to the hands of parents. And parents are usually, maybe in the Western society, maybe they're around 20 something, 40, maybe 50. At 60, you are now grandparents in most countries, right? So, and then when I look at your data, I see that from 60 to 80, you have a lot of people buying these products, which we say is biscuits. I'm suspecting that you have items in this data set that looks like items for the elderly. That's just me in my head. I don't know.
Okay, thanks for the observation, but sorry to cut you short. On my report on the transformation and modeling headline, you can see on number 6, I made mention of, I listed the figures actually and the percentage of people in that age group bracket. So you can see that from 20 to 30, in fact, 20 to 30 had the highest people that bought in terms of numbers. They had 1,940 people that bought, while the elderly also had similar range, but 1,800, 1,800, 1,900. So they were like almost similar figures between that 20 to 80. While for people within the age of 10 to 20 had just 237 people, while 80 to 90 had 360 people. So that's why I did it. Like, although I get your explanation, or maybe I should have split it into children, middle class, and old age. I'm just trying to say that the difference in figures is very, very little. So there's no preference to probably the biscuits are for old people or for young people, because everybody within the age bracket, both the middle aged, the 20 to 30, and also the 70 to 80, all of them had similar figures.
Okay, all right. So I understand what you're trying to say. Well, let's say it like this. Maybe if you go back, right, in your spare time and break the age in a different, use a different grouping, I think what you find in this age distribution will be much more different than what you have at the moment. I'm just saying now, right? It will be much more different because what you have now, it's okay, it's valid. I don't have a reason to dispute this or to not accept this, right? It's okay. It's a open discussion and an open decision that you have to make on your own. So no one is going to crucify you for that. It's okay. I'm just saying, I think it's a better practice if you group it in a different way. All right, so I'm just going to close that chapter. So for your age distribution with your pie chart, I feel that's okay. Nothing serious to say about that. But then you now have customer demographics based on gender, distribution, and location. When I saw this, I just knew this. No. I think this is where you actually spoil your analysis for the day, right? I can't see anything here. I can't see anything, and I can't make a meaning out of anything that you have there. What you have there is just too much, right? So even if in your data set you have items, 100, 100 rows of items, like unique items, you don't need to visualize all the 100. Give me the top 10, give me the top 5, give me the top 20. Just tell us the reason why you're using the top 5, but tell us the reason why you're using the top 20. That's fine. We don't need to see everything because the way it is now, no one can make a sense out of this. Hope you get what I'm trying to say now. So I think this right here is just too much, just too much. Then going forward, I see this also: sales reps performance, total quantity, total sales revenue, profits, and quantity sold. This is also cool, but I maybe would suggest that you take out quantity sold. You see that the values are so small that you rarely could see it. Right? So it's like it's competing against other items that are squashing it. Maybe if you're visualizing just the quantity alone on another side, that would probably have given you a better insight. But the way it is, I don't think it's really a nice one. Maybe going forward, you may just want to remove quantity since, and more so, it's not even, they are not really part of the same family. Revenue, profits, those are currency values, right? Then quantity are just numbers. So they are not really part of the same family, but maybe you may keep them, but I don't really think it's necessary in this case. Then revenue generated by product, I would probably suggest next time you attach the values to each of these bars. Attach the values to each of the bars. And where the values are too long, instead of writing 15 million, you probably want to write 15 M in front of it. Then here you have quantity of product purchased per month. This is not a good visualization. This particular section of it, I don't like it. Since you're dealing with time, you want to use a line graph. If you're dealing with time, months, it's better you use a line graph. And since I don't know why you're trying to visualize all the products together, I don't know. I don't still feel too comfortable with it. Maybe you can just summarize everything as quantity and not really show us what each product brings in, because the many colors is actually even confusing me. That's just me in my head just saying it. So I would probably have suggested you just give us the value of the quantities there and not split it by the product, or not stack all of the products in each bar, right? So I think that makes it much more difficult to read, right? The goal here is to make sure that if I'm looking at your chart for the first time, I don't need to stress myself so much to get what you're trying to do. Right? A little view at it, I can understand this is what you're trying to do here, and this is what your chart is saying here. I understand that this chart is actually saying between August and December, we have low sales, which is correct. But I think the visualization is not giving us the true picture. For example, many of us, but what we got from this, from your story or from your documentation, was that August to December have low sales. But none of us really understood which of these bars is for peanut butter, which of these bar is for cinnamon swag, which of them is for vanilla wafers. You understand? And that's because the items are just too small and there are too many in each of those bars, so it becomes complicated. So I would suggest you use a line chart for this next time. Then right here, you're talking about sales volume generated by product, and I see you're using a line chart. Why? Why? Right, so maybe this would have actually been a very good bar. Like a bar chart here, that would have been better. That would have been better, but it's fine. And here you have profit margin by products. I was actually looking at your profit margin and your revenue generated or sales made. I really do not get an insight from it, and that's because maybe you just didn't think about it well. So if you have profit margin, for example, I see that shortbread has a profit margin of 78%, right? And then butter C had a profit margin of 9%, which we say it's low. Or probably would have gone ahead to look at it. What is the profit for each of these items? Since we're looking at profit margin, why not really look at the profit also for each of these items? Right? Maybe that would have probably given us more insights. This water that has a profit margin of just 9%, maybe it's actually the one bringing in the highest profit cumulatively for the organization. We don't know. And because I did not really see you visualize.
Sorry to cut you short. If I understand you perfectly, the profit margin means the profit, for example, the butter crunch you made mention of, which has 9% profit margin. There is no way it can bring in more profit than any of the other products because it has a smaller profit margin.
So let me explain it this way. So if your profit margin is 9%, relatively, it looks like you're not making enough profit per sale. I'd say if it costs 10 naira to make one of those products, you're selling it for around 11 naira, right? Now, the average person might, in their head, they might actually find the price very, very cheap, right? So maybe it could actually push them to buy more of that particular product. I remember, if you have more sales of a particular product, there's a tendency that you make more money, right? There is a tendency like that, but it doesn't necessarily translate to more money. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe if you had done that visualization, we'll probably have been able to clear that up.
But this one up here that says revenue generated by product, that shows the sales that each of these products made. And also the profit margin also shows the profit margin of each of these products. For example, you can see butter crunch had the lowest, while for revenue generated, it is like number 8 or number 7.
Okay, so let me say this. Revenue still has cost embedded in it, right? There's cost embedded in revenue and your profit. So it's your revenue and it's your cost and profit that gives us your revenue. I try to make a meaning out of it, right? But I feel it's not really complete yet. It's just a feeling. So maybe if you have the time, just let's see, maybe you might have something different. And
because I initially did, for like what you are saying, I initially did profit generated by products too. And what I was having was the same thing I had with profit margin by product. That's why I removed it, because since this is already telling me the profit margin I had by product, there was no need of putting profit generated by product, since the two of them are saying the same thing. And also for the quantity of product generated per month, I also used line graph for that, but it was looking too complicated. That's why I changed it to a bar chart. But I understand you, since you said probably I remove all the products and I just leave it with the months instead.
It's all right. So I think for me, I can close this chapter then, since I think overall this is a very nice one, right? It's a very good one. So well done on this one. Well done on this one. And I do hope that I get to see some other visuals from you in other in our coming class or in any other class. Just keep working and definitely we'll see what we get. So, Mr. Shegun, do you still have your